So, hi everyone. I'm Przemyslaw Solski from 11-Bit Studio. And I'm currently working on Frostpunk, where I am one of the main game designers. And today, I'll be talking about the newest Frostpunk scenario, the Fall of Winterhome. I'm first time here in Belarus, and I'm very happy. So, this is my presentation plan. First, I would like to tell you something about Frostpunk and idea behind. Then I tell you a few sentences about our production process. And after that, I move on to my main part of presentation. And in 2 steps, I would like to tell you something about the Fall of Winterhome. At the beginning, I have a question for you. Who has played Frostpunk before? Please raise your hand. Wow, I'm so impressed, really. Because I go any further, I have to warn you, because there will be some spoilers in my presentation. I'm really sorry about that, so this is the last chance to live. Basically, Frostpunk is survival city builder, embedded in an alternative 19th century, where the Ice Age came. So, steam technology seems to be a natural response to chilling climate, because it gives you not only energy, but also warmth, which is crucial if you want to fight against a winter. But mostly, Frostpunk is about society, how far we can change it to survive. Where is the red line which we shouldn't cross? Can we preserve humanity in the face of apocalypse? For this kind of question, Frostpunk tried to answer. So, we have created 4 scenarios in Frostpunk. I mainly designed 3 of them: the Arks, Refugees, and the Fall of Winterhome. And in this lecture, I will focus on the last one. But first, what do they all have in common? So this is our main goals. In every single scenario, we want to achieve them. Firstly, we wanted to gain a new gameplay experience. Secondly, we wanted the player to face difficult moral choices. And lastly, we wanted to live in the player post-playthrough reflection. Before I go any further, I want to tell you something about our production process. So we always start from high-level idea, which means that you have described your concept in 1 or 2 sentences. For example, a story about the fall of the city and how people behave in the face of apocalypse. This is high-level idea for the Fall of Winterhome. Then we write down our assumptions, and when we are ready, we make first prototype. The first one we built at the lowest cost because we only check our basis thesis. After that, we take 2 steps back, look at our assumptions, look at prototype, change it, and make another prototype. Sometimes we have to repeat this process many, many times. When we have the beginning and the end, and we are sure that our main mechanics works correctly, we can proceed to the next stage, production process. So, the Fall of Winterhome. We started creating this scenario after Frostpunk premiere. So we had much more experience, much more time. So that is why we chose an ambitious topic and try to tell a story about Winterhome, which ruins player can find in the first scenario. This inevitable fall of the city became our main goal and also main limitations. No matter what the player does, the result must be the same: destroyed city. So, how to create a scenario where player has to lose but feel as a winner? The most important for us was to answer the question why the city has fallen. So we decided that the most credible reason will be stopping the beating heart of the city, the generator. So this is why the city has fallen due to the generator malfunction. But of course, we couldn't make a scenario without hope. We needed to give the player a chance to feel as a winner. So we let the player to evacuate people and save their lives. In this scenario, the player starts with big city, which he took over from previous captain. Some rights are already signed, and the first player task is to rebuild the city and calm down the situation. And this is how look like our first flow structure in the first prototype. So this is our starting point, unoptimized city. And the first player task is to rebuild it and calm down the situation. After he finished this first quest, as you can see, there is a narrative gap. Few hours later, there is a sudden failure of the generator. The generator turned off for a few hours. Now the player has to examine the generator, which means that he sent scouts and get engineers from research station. When the engineers come to the city, they start examining the generator, and a few hours later, they give a verdict. The generator is broken, cannot be repaired. It's only a matter of time when he stopped working forever. So there is another narrative gap. A few hours later, we give a player a clue that somewhere in Frostland is an abandoned vault, which can be changed to the shelter. When the player finds this place, he can start evacuating people. So, the first prototype gave us many positive answers. At the beginning, the large city turned out to be a very refreshing opening. Some rights have been signed. For example, child labor or snow pits. And this gave us an opportunity to play a little with player habits, because people tend to choose the same rights in every playthrough. Also, generator failure was a strong accent in the narrative. Evacuating people had enormous emotional potential. The player has to decide who, for example, to send first, children, or maybe be more pragmatic and send engineers. We felt this was a right direction. Also, playing on the depopulated city was interesting and full of challenges. At this stage, resources were still needed to evacuate people. So we had an economical game aspect which impacted the choice of sending order. However, not everything well went. The sudden generator failure in the middle of the scenario was unbelievable without any warning. It was one of those plot twists after player says, seriously, it wasn't what we wanted to achieve. Also, we figure out that our narrative is too complicated. For example, it was too many steps between failure of the generator and starting evacuation. So we decided to reorganize the narrative. Now information about generator malfunction is given from the beginning. And we also decided to add new building, repair station, which player can use to examine the generator and fix later malfunctions. And this is how it looks like final flow structure. As you can see, it looks much more simple than the previous one. But the result is the same. Because we tell the player that something is wrong with generator in the beginning, we can smoothly move from the first quest, rebuild the city, to the second one. Because we have repair station, we can use engineers in our city to see what is happening with our generator. And when the players figure out that it cannot be fixed, we smoothly start the evacuation. We also decided to simplify the second part of the scenario, the evacuation. Now player can use the dreadnought on which people came into the city. This is a very huge steampunk land ship. So dreadnought location is known from the beginning, so player doesn't have to look for place of evacuation on Frostland. We also decided to add evacuation center, which can be used to send people and resources to Dreadnought. And we added the rule, there is no chance of saving everyone. So this is here what we managed to achieve. Thanks to reorganizing and simplicity, the narration between threads is smooth. Repair station and evacuation center mechanics support narrative. Finally, we managed to achieve the effect of a dramatic evacuation. The limited numbers of plays on Dreadnought made the moral choice of who to send and who to leave become much deeper. Thanks to this, we gained compatibility with what the player knew about Winterhome in the first scenario. So this is how we figure out of the main structure of the scenario. Now I want to explain how we told the story about the Fall of Winterhome. First of all, we wanted to implement movie narrative, which means that we needed build attention gradually. The main element that drive building tension in this scenario are generator malfunction. They remind the player about the inevitable catastrophe and give us opportunity to raise discontent and lower hope, the parameters which represent the mood in the city. Due to this, the closer we are to the catastrophe, the more we have to struggle with maintaining peace in the city. And this is how the emotional timeline looks like. As you can see, every generator malfunction rises up the tension, especially the last one. As I said at the beginning, very important for us is the main idea. So we don't want to tell a story only about the fall of the city, but also how people behave in the face of imminent catastrophe. So now I would like to tell you something about our inspiration. Titanic. It was our main inspiration. Everyone knows the story and how it ends. So we have a ship which hits the iceberg and sinks. She cannot be repaired, and it's only a matter of time when she will go down. There is a limited number of emergency boats on the deck, so it's impossible to rescue everyone. As you can see, the situation is similar to Winterhome. This was for us a perfect case study to see how people behave in this kind of situation. So we did some research, and it turned out that these are the main types of behavior in such situation. So some people want to survive at all costs, even it is mean that they have to do something bad. Some stay calm and obey the orders. Many people have a tendency to panic and act irrationally. Only few of them are able to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. Finally, some gives up or commit suicide. In Frostpunk, we tell the story by the events. In Winterhome, we have 3 types of them. The first one are dust that appears always or almost always. And they are the main points of the storyline. For example, generator malfunctions. The second depend on our choices. And the last one depend on the mood in the city. So here are examples. So this is an example that almost always appears at the very beginning of the evacuation. It puts the player in a dilemma whether to send children first to Dreadnought. We wanted the evacuation to become something more than pure mathematics, but make the player reflect on the question, who is life worth more? Should I be more pragmatic or try to save everyone, even it means that in the end more people will die if I will not succeed? We have 3 choices here. We can promise people that we send all children, only the youngest one, or tell the people we can't afford it. So let's say we decided to send the youngest one, which triggers another event. In this event, a man asks us to send him with the next transport, so he can join his son. He says that the child won't survive without him. So we have 2 possibilities. We can agree and tell him we can't make any exception. Both choices have consequences. For example, if we met his request, there will be riots in the city. People will feel deceived that we make an exception for someone. And the last one, we have a story about engineers who come us with brave offer. They want to stay till the end and sacrifice themselves for the greater good. Unfortunately, this may have a chance to trigger only if the mood in the city is good. Otherwise, the alternative event won't be that pleasant. So, what we have learned while doing not only the fall of this Winterhome, but also other scenarios. I want to tell you about only two things. I think it's very important to think about main goals, about main idea, and don't lose them in entire process. I think it's very easy to do that, especially if you want to add too many features or too many content. Also, it's very important to make things simple, even if this means that you have to cut something. I know it's hard, but sometimes this is the only one way to achieve our main goals. So for me, less means more. So thank you for your attention.